Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is one of my favorite chapters, but I've found through many years of experience that some of you don't like this too well. I think the main problem seems to be debits and credits. Several students have given me a really bad time because I could not, would not, whatever, explain exactly why a debit was a debit and a credit is a credit. I really have to confess I'm not sure that I know, but I'm going to give you the party line here. In this chapter, you will be blessed with two, count them, 1, 2 videos. The first one here is to explain, it'll give you some information about the derivation of debit and credit. Don't worry, I don't believe this is going to be on any exam, so just take this one for fun, and I think it will help you understand these two terms. First off, the terms debere and credere. Don't fault me on the pronunciation, I already know. But I've read different places, and one author said debere came from the Latin and meant to the left, while credere meant, also from Latin, to the right. I searched all over the place, and I'll be blessed if I could find anybody that agreed with this particular writer. So I think we'll just take that one and cross it off. Bingo. Now, debito and credito are supposed to mean owed to. Let me write this down because owed to, and the other would be owed by. I'll give you some more information on the use of these two terms in just a moment. These, of course, you recognize. Debito is debit, credito means credit. So we can see those two, and this is what the author said they meant. Owed to debito, owed to credito, owed by. It's going to take some doing to translate those into our meanings, but we'll try. An interesting sideline that I discovered while reading up on these things is that Pacioli was left-handed. Now, I think that those of you that have read through this chapter already and realize the significance of left and right, I'm just going to say Pacioli was left-handed. He wrote the things he owed first with his left hand. He would be on the left side already. So I think that's why assets are on the left for him. We have a different reason, which we'll get to in the next video. Then a lot of this accounting came from Venice. In Venice, during this time, slave trade was rampant, and the merchants eventually would get a slave that they trusted very much, and they would make this slave the proprietor or manager of his enterprise. So now we have this, let's just make it short because that's what they did. Here's the slave who is in charge of this business. Now, the owner, of course, made major decisions, but the slave had to keep track of all of this. So the slave was entrusted with the assets. So the slave actually owed these assets. The assets were owed by the slave to the proprietor. So assets owed to the owners. Then over on the other side, these are the things that were owned, but the slave or proprietor owed these assets to the owners. You must get to understand that there are two classes of owners. One is the liabilities, and the other is capital. These two items are both debts of the business, either to the creditors, the liabilities, or to the owners. So, debito, owed to. These are the assets, the things that are owed to the owners and the creditors. And credito means what? Owed by. So that was owed to the proprietor, owed by the owners. That's kind of a roundabout way of looking at it. If you don't understand this too well, don't worry about it. There's lots of people who have never even heard of it. I'm not quite sure that I'd want to defend this in a court of law of any place, but it gives you an idea. The words did come from Latin, and the exact etiology of the words, it seems to be very, very obscure. I couldn't really find what I needed to know, but these worked as how it seemed to work out. I was particularly interested in Pacioli being left-handed. All kinds of possibilities, therefore. Our left hand for debits and the left side of the equation, the right side, and so forth and so on, might have some bearing there. Think about it. Well, I hope I haven't confused you too much with this business of debits and credits. It really doesn't mean, you don't really have to know this to be able to understand how to use these terms and use them to make entries in our set of books. That's what we'll do in our next video. Okay? Again, nice chatting with you. Goodbye.